There comes a time in every life when the old self must die. Not in flesh, but in pattern. In belief, in identity. A silent death of habits. A burial of excuses. A funeral for the version of you that clings to comfort while your future begs for war. Because growth, true growth, is not a gentle thing. It's violent. It's a rebellion against who you were taught to be. It's the refusal to kneel before yesterday's limitations. And if you ever want to become the kind of person who doesn't just talk about success but embodies it, then you must force yourself to outgrow the very version of you that's listening to this right now. The truth is simple. Every dream you have is being held hostage by the you refuse to leave behind. There comes a time in every life when the old self must die. Not in flesh, but in pattern. In belief, in identity. A silent death of habits. A burial of excuses. A funeral for the version of you that clings to comfort while your future begs for war. Because growth, true growth, is not a gentle thing. It's violent. It's a rebellion against who you were taught to be. It's the refusal to kneel before yesterday's limitations. And if you ever want to become the kind of person who doesn't just talk about success but embodies it, then you must force yourself to outgrow the very version of you that's listening to this right now. The truth is simple. Every dream you have is being held hostage by the you refuse to leave behind. Your mind, that sacred battlefield, is the first terrain you must conquer. Before you ask how to succeed, ask who is doing the asking. Because the thoughts you think are not random. They're repetitions. Inherited scripts. Echoes of a past you never questioned. And if your mind is filled with doubts, fears, distractions, then it's not your enemy that's stopping you. It's your programming. You were not born lazy. You were taught to settle. Conditioned to be small. Fed a diet of mediocrity and bite-sized comforts. Binge watch that, scroll this, numb out, tune out, opt out, until your potential became background noise. But that noise, it's still humming. Beneath the static, there's a signal, a frequency that whispers, you were made for more. That voice is your future self calling. The question is, are you ready to answer? Because the mind obeys what you train it to believe. Not what you hope. Not what you wish. What you practice. Train it in power, it becomes power. Train it in fear, and it becomes a cage you never see. So break it. Smash the walls. Burn the blueprint if you have to. But stop pretending your mindset isn't everything. You think Edison lit the world because he had better luck? No. He was obsessed. 10,000 failures didn't stop him, because in his mind, failure wasn't a wall. It was a step. Every setback, a lesson. Every darkness, an invitation to bring light. And if your thoughts don't serve that level of clarity, that hunger, then you are building your life on sand. You are not your failures. You are not your past. You are what you continue to believe about them. And belief, real belief, is the gatekeeper of every life-altering breakthrough. Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. But understand what he meant. Belief isn't just positive thinking. It's ownership. It's declaring I am capable long before you have proof. It's choosing vision over evidence. Will over wounds. People like Carnegie, like Lincoln, like Disney, they didn't start with power. They started with conviction. A fire that refused to die, even when the world tried to drown it. Carnegie was a poor immigrant who believed in building empires. Lincoln battled depression and war, yet believed in unity. Disney lost jobs, studios, ideas, but believed so hard in imagination that it reshaped culture. So what do you believe? Not when life is easy, but when it's brutal. When you're broke, tired, alone, humiliated. Do you believe then? Or do you retreat into the old self who says, see, I told you. We don't have what it takes. that voice. Kill it. Because belief is not a feeling. It's a weapon. And you better sharpen it like your life depends on it, because it does. Vision flows from belief, not the other way around. You don't wait until you see it to believe it. You believe it, then you start to see it. It's how your brain is wired. What you focus on expands. So if your vision is vague, so is your path. If your dreams are blurry, your results will be, too. Clarity is oxygen. Breathe it in. See yourself, in brutal, vivid detail, living the life you're building. Not someday. Now. Wake up and feel it before it's real. Because the brain doesn't distinguish between imagined and actual experience. That's science. So imagine bigger. Imagine clearer. Imagine harder. Your old self will resist. It'll say, this is fantasy. But what it really means is, this threatens me. Because your vision is the one thing the old self can't survive. That's the point. Let's talk about discipline, not the glamorous kind. Not the highlight reel, hustle for the camera type. The real kind. The kind that makes you invisible for months or years while you build in silence. The kind that nobody applauds, but everyone envies later. Discipline is loving your future self enough to piss off your current one. It's getting up when it's dark, when it's cold, when it hurts, because you said you would. It's choosing progress over pleasure. Work over whining. Creation over consumption. Every single day. Because let's be honest, your goals don't care how you feel. The world rewards execution, not intention. Sacrifice isn't optional. It's the toll you pay to cross the bridge between average and extraordinary. And if you don't pay that toll, you stay stuck. That's the price of avoiding discomfort, a life you don't respect. Lincoln spent years in obscurity, mocked, doubted, alone, preparing for the moment history would need him. Imagine if he had quit because it was hard. Imagine if he had waited until he felt ready. He would have died a footnote. You are not entitled to greatness. You are called to it. But calls go unanswered all the time. The question is, will you show up? Will you force yourself to act when your legs shake, when your hands tremble, when your voice cracks? Because greatness never felt natural at first. It's forged in fire. You don't walk into excellence. You bleed into it. So stop asking how long it will take. Ask how far you're willing to go. How much of your old self are you willing to sacrifice to become who you were meant to be? Because nothing changes until you do. Pain is not your enemy. It's your teacher. And like all great teachers, it's relentless. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care how much you've suffered. It only asks, are you listening yet? The old self resists pain, numbs it, runs from it. But the future you, the real you, will learn to lean into it. Because every wound holds wisdom. Every setback is a signal. Every breakdown carries the blueprint for your breakthrough. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about transforming through the fall. It's taking the hit and saying, now I'm stronger. Now I'm wiser. Now I'm unshakable. Remember this, you are not meant to be the same person after the storm. You're supposed to emerge unrecognizable. Look at Nelson Mandela, locked in a cell for 27 years. You think that didn't break him? It did. But it also rebuilt him, refined him, burned away everything weak and left only what was necessary. When he walked free, he didn't return to his old self. He had outgrown the man who was imprisoned. You must do the same. You must let pain shape you, not shatter you. Let loss sharpen you. Let failure fortify you. Let the struggle become the gym where your soul trains for greatness. Because comfort doesn't make warriors. Adversity does. And when the world changes, because it will, You must adapt faster than your fear. You must bend without breaking, pivot without panicking, flow like water, but hit like iron. The old self clings to what was. The evolved self builds with what is. The old self says, I can't handle this. The evolved self says, I'll become the one who can. It's not about never falling. It's about who rises different. You were not born to stay the same. Evolution is your birthright. But nature doesn't evolve the comfortable. It evolves the relentless. To outgrow your old self is to admit you don't know it all. And that takes humility, the kind that strips away pride like armor and forces you to stand naked in front of truth. Every master you admire was once a student who refused to stay ignorant. Every genius, a beginner who embraced looking foolish. If you're not willing to be wrong, you will never become right enough to matter. The old self fears learning, because learning exposes weakness. But the future self seeks it, devours it, lives by it. Because ignorance is not a flaw, staying ignorant is. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb because he knew how. He invented it because he refused to stop learning. Every failure was feedback. Every mistake, a message. 10,000 wrongs. One incandescent right. That's the ratio. That's the cost. And the price of admission to your next level. Humility. Not the weak kind, not self-doubt dressed as humility, but the warrior's humility. The one that says, I know I can be more, but first, I must learn more. And learning requires stillness, listening, curiosity, courage. The courage to unlearn everything that made you average. Burn the rulebook you inherited. Write your own scripture. Read voraciously. Study obsessively. Ask questions that make people uncomfortable. Surround yourself with minds that intimidate you, and learn from them. Your ego won't like it. Let it die. Because learning is rebirth. And rebirth is painful. The caterpillar dissolves itself completely before becoming the butterfly. It doesn't modify its wings, it destroys its entire form. If nature demands that level of destruction for beauty, why should you be spared? To outgrow your old self is to dissolve the illusion of arrival. You never make it. You remake it. Again and again. From student to teacher to student again. Until the day you die, and even then, your legacy keeps learning through others. And while you stretch forward, while you chase the next version of you, never forget the ground beneath your feet. Because transformation without gratitude is just ambition wrapped in emptiness. The old self complains about what it lacks. The future self gives thanks for what it's becoming. You don't have to wait for the finish line to celebrate. You don't need the mansion, the applause, the millions in the bank to feel rich. If you are breathing, thinking, choosing, you are already powerful. If you have the ability to listen to this, you are already ahead of millions who never got the chance. And if you don't appreciate this moment, the hard one, the lonely one, the confusing one, you won't appreciate the easy ones either. Gratitude isn't soft. It's not sentimental fluff. It's fuel. It turns survival into strength. It flips every hardship into a gift. And when you start to see everything as training, nothing feels wasted. Your job in this life is not to collect things. It's to become someone. Someone unshaken. Someone lit from within. Someone who walks into every room with the quiet power of a person who remembers who they had to kill to get here. Gratitude reminds you. It humbles you, centers you, roots you, and in a world addicted to speed, presence becomes rebellion. Being here, fully, deeply, unapologetically here, that's power. Because the only place you can grow is now. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Right here is where you choose. Right now is where you change. So reclaim your power. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for a better past. Don't wait for the old self to step aside. It won't. You must shove it. You must rip it off like a mask. Set it on fire. And walk through the flames as the person you were always meant to be. Most people will never do it. They'll live and die as echoes of the person they used to be. They'll carry their childhood wounds like sacred relics, nurse their insecurities like pets, and bow to their fear like it's truth. They'll rationalize mediocrity, decorate it, justify it, and call it realistic. But you are not most people. You are here to break the cycle of generational silence, of self-betrayal, of almost starts and never finishes. You're not just breaking out, you're breaking through. And that requires conviction. The kind that cannot be negotiated. The kind that burns bridges on purpose, because you're never going back. The kind that makes you act like your life depends on it, because it does. The old self wants to hesitate. The new self decides. The old self wants to please everyone. The new self speaks truth with a trembling voice. The old self seeks validation. The new self is validation. That power, the one you keep pretending you don't have, it's been in you this entire time. You don't need to find it. You need to remember it. Like a king awakening in rags. Like a queen rising in the ruins of who she used to be. You've been sleeping on a throne of potential, dreaming of a crown you already own. But power unused is power that decays. And the more you delay, the more you rot. So act. Without certainty. Without comfort. Without applause. Do it while scared. Do it while shaking. Do it before the confidence arrives, because confidence doesn't precede greatness. It follows it. And greatness doesn't come to the prepared. It comes to the bold. So move. Speak. Build. Burn. Rebuild. You don't become who you were meant to be by waiting. You become by creating, by crafting yourself in the heat of discipline, in the fire of fear, in the winds of resistance. That voice telling you you're not enough. It dies every time you act anyway. That doubt haunting you in the dark. It dissolves under the weight of persistence. The old self was built on fear. The new you must be forged in faith. There will come a day, not far from now, when you look back at today with eyes full of fire. You'll remember this moment. The doubt, the pain, the chaos, the war inside your own chest. And you'll smile, not because it was easy, but because you didn't flinch. Because you stood when everything in you screamed to retreat. Because you silenced the voice of the coward inside and let the warrior speak. Because you finally forced yourself to outgrow your old self. That self who begged for comfort instead of conquest. Who chose watching over building, talking over doing. That self who feared judgment, who needed permission, who clung to stories that no longer served the story you were born to write. You buried that self, and in its place, you rose. So let the world see what happens when a soul decides it's done shrinking. Let them witness what becomes of a human who walks through failure and feel like it's just part of the path, because it is. Let them feel your presence before they hear your voice. Let your actions thunder so loudly they don't need to ask who you are. You are the result of every choice you make from this day forward. Not your past. Not your pain. Not your parents or your trauma or your story. You. So choose power. Choose courage. Choose forward. Wake up every day and remind yourself, I am not my old self. I am not my old patterns. I am not here to survive. I am here to evolve. And if it hurts, good. That's growth. If it scares you, good. That means you're leaving the old you behind. Walk faster. Burn brighter. Live harder. Love deeper. Fail louder. Rise higher. You weren't born to be safe. You were born to become. Now go. Outgrow everything you were. And never look back.